Hello, everybody, and welcome to another edition of the Spartan Sports Report on TV3. Ron and I are very happy to have a special guest, Ron.
Andrea Van Meter. It's the Andrea Hour this week.
We know Andrea from seeing her around CHS.
Yeah, seeing her around CHS and sitting in front of me during the ball game on Friday. So yeah, know her very
everywhere.
well. Everywhere we need to be.
Yes.
Andrea is there.
Andrea, the girls' season is over in basketball. Ended Saturday with the finals, and Greensburg lost the ball game at a very inopportune time.
Yeah, they did. It didn't look like they were clicking as well as they had been probably all season. I think they were the favorite to win.
They were 27-0 going into the tournament.
They were undefeated. Played a good team. Norwell was a good team, but didn't have enough oomph, I think, to push through.
Ran out of gas, kind of.
They did. I mean, they stayed with Norwell there towards the first half.
Sure.
I think they were down, 4 points at halftime, but just couldn't find the answer to. I don't know that their defense looked as tough as it had been. Like, I remember when they played us, they pressed us the whole game in full court, and it just didn't seem like they were doing that, which was kind of surprising. Yeah. But yeah, so they had a great season.
Yes, they did.
State runner-up, absolutely. So nothing to be ashamed of.
No, not at all. No. Last week, the Spartan boys basketball team traveled to Northeastern, and that was the final regular season game. They came away with a loss, kind of a tough
always
one.
said.
It was tough, and I mean, they really played well. I mean,
yeah, they did for the first.
They played really well. They
half.
came out. The starters put a lot of pressure on Northeastern and caused some turnovers, and we were able to hit the shots where we needed it, and actually led the first quarter and led a little bit into the second quarter, and then it just seemed like at that point, I mean, I'm not going to say the steam ran out, but they just. I don't know. Northeastern kind of turned it in. Like I think they were. You could tell they were composed.
Yeah, they had a gear that they went to that we didn't have, and they were, very polished as a team. They were very big as a team. Surprisingly, when we had 2 times we had 5-point leads, we were controlling the glass, and then for some reason they just started crashing the boards, and that turned the ball game around.
Yeah, and I mean, we played really well and hustled really well and caused a lot of turnovers there, but they did the same thing to us. It was just kind of down the stretch. We just didn't have an answer for some of the threes. I mean, we were shooting them. We just, unfortunately, we weren't able to get those threes to
They just pulled away. Northeastern slowly pulled away and built a little bit of a lead.
Just a little bit at a time, and it wasn't, I mean, I don't feel like the score reflects the game at all.
We did cut to 5 at one point. I think it was late in the third, early in the fourth.
Yeah.
We thought we were making that comeback, but their coach called their coach called a great timeout, and then
56-42 was the final score, and then we move on to sectional play coming up. The Knights, by the way, are 22-1, so that's a pretty good record.
Yeah.
Yes, the only team they lost to was Lapel.
And Lapel's ranked
9-14
8th
was the Spartans' one-loss record, 4-3 in the conference. In the sectional, action starts on Tuesday at 4 o'clock, or March the 4th, and it'll be in Newcastle, and the Spartans will be meeting the 14-8 Hamilton Heights Huskies at 7:30. So there's just one game on Tuesday night?
No, there's a 6 o'clock game before us. We just play the 7:30 game. So it's kind of a normal, like a normal trend.
Like a JV.
A JV varsity kind of setup for the boys. So hopefully they're ready to go. I've seen quite a few of them in the hallway, and there's quite a few excited to play. And it's tournament time, like we talked about with the girls. You never know what's going to happen.
What kind of a team are the Huskies? Do you have any information on them?
What I have heard, looked into, is more they're an offensive-minded team.
Okay.
They score lots of points, so we're going to have to find a way to kind of shut them down.
Yes.
And I think defensively, we're a good team. Offensively, we struggle here and there with hitting some shots.
We get the shots, but they won't drop.
Absolutely. We get open.
Yeah, we have that trouble. A lot more than I think. If we get that to click, this is a very winnable sectional.
Sure. I mean, level playing field.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I feel like everybody has a chance at this point, and
that's right.
I mean, if we can play tough defense and keep them from scoring what they're used to, I mean, the outcome is what it's going to be. So.
And we played a few games at Newcastle over the years, so that might help.
So most of the boys have probably played on that floor a couple of times.
Yes. Yeah.
So I don't know. It's very similar to our gym. So I feel like we
yes.
have a better advantage than most teams because we're used to that atmosphere
right.
and coming out of a tunnel and locker rooms and that kind of stuff. So I
Sure.
feel like we do have a bit of an advantage practicing there last week.
I think so.
To get in the gym. So I don't know. We'll see. Hopefully it turns out to be a great evening. I hope our fans come out and support. Ticket links were posted last week. We'll probably post them again tomorrow morning, just for everybody if they want to prepay, so you don't have to wait in line. But tickets are $7, and they're good for the 6 o'clock and the 7:30 game.
How many allotment do we have?
They don't do that anymore.
They don't do it anymore?
No,
Oh, good.
they
good,
used to
good.
do that, but now with digital ticketing and stuff, I think the numbers are down.
Yeah.
They don't really allot you any.
Okay.
Now, if they thought they were going to sell out like a smaller
Yeah.
venue, then maybe
Right,
they would,
yeah.
but
Not that.
they haven't done that, no.
You know, the Spartan basketball news, there are a few games left in the season for the middle school girls red team, and the 7th and 8th grade will face Cambridge City on Tuesday in the Spartan Arena. Then Batesville on Tuesday night visits Connersville. The final season games will be this Thursday at Greendale Middle School. Is that near Lawrenceburg?
That's Lawrenceburg.
Okay,
yeah.
that is
so
Lawrenceburg.
Greendale is Lawrenceburg's elementary.
Oh,
yeah.
okay,
So
okay.
3 more middle school girls games this week. So busy for them. The Red Out night is tonight. So they're trying to celebrate all of the dancers and cheerleaders and girls basketball. So that should be a nice evening. So if anyone has a chance and sees this before the game starts, head out and see the 8th graders play.
Yep.
Because you probably won't make the 7th grade game because you probably won't see this in time. And then our wrestling team. We still have a middle school wrestling team that's competing this week. They travel tonight. Slipping my mind where they're traveling. Newcastle tonight,
Newcastle.
which is Newcastle always is tough with wrestling. And then
Yes.
this weekend is their conference, their EIAC tournament, which is a big one for middle school. All the conference teams are there. And so it's a great little thing for our wrestling coaches to see
Right.
prior to high school.
Who's coaching the wrestlers?
So we have Alex Fox. We just hired him this year. He's the head coach. And then Conrad Alston. So
Okay.
he also helps with football. They've done a great job. Young coaches, about
Yes, they have.
27 wrestlers on the team between boys and girls,
Good.
6th, 7th, and 8th graders. Working hard, had some really good meets there early. Had some tough competition the past couple weeks. South Dearborn, they were there this weekend. Last week they saw East Central and South Dearborn in a duel. So our conference is tough when it comes to wrestling. That's probably
Yeah.
one of the sports that you have to work hard and be on your game all the time.
Right.
So
Yeah.
you never know who's going to win. You make one wrong move and you're pinned. And
That's right.
your
That's right.
season's over or whatever. So, but
No, is girls wrestling is now a sport? Yeah,
it is now a sport. Yes. So I think we have 4 girls at the middle school, and we had 1 at the high school this year. Hopefully next year we'll have a couple of those 8th graders move up to join
Yes.
our team since we're graduating our one senior girl. So hopefully we get more. I know we have a big youth program with a lot of little girls in the youth, so
That's
hopefully
good.
it continues
Good.
to build.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I
And then we
think
have
so.
one more middle school sport real quick, is swimming. This is the last week of middle school
Oh,
swimming,
wow.
so we
Good.
changed from the fall to the winter. So this is the last week the pool's open too, but they swim, let's see, they have a meet, I believe, tomorrow night, and then they swim next Monday at Hagerstown.
Okay.
So small team, but making some huge gains. I think there's like 11 of them on the team between 6th, 7th, and 8th graders. So middle school season lasts a little bit longer than high school season, just because of facilities. But
And the pool is getting, this is it, and then it will
Monday
open up,
they start renovations.
Yeah.
So it's
and open up what, back in August, open up in August? September?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm hoping that before
Yeah.
swimming can do their workouts. I'm hoping by October, but
Oh,
we might
wow,
have to
yeah,
find a
yeah.
place for them until to do their fall
Yeah.
training just because. But
Last Saturday was a sectional gymnastics competition
Yep.
at CHS,
we hosted that, yes.
and the Lady Spartans placed third. Is that
They placed 3rd out of the 6 competitive teams there. There were a lot of individuals there, but so they did place 3rd out of all the teams. So they did really well.
and then they move on in the regional, do they?
Yes, the regional is this Friday at Franklin Central, which is up in Indianapolis.
Okay.
There are 8 teams, I believe, there. So Bloomington South, Columbus North, Roncalli, New Pal, Newcastle, us, and I'm sure I'm forgetting a team. But tough competition. We've seen all of these teams throughout the season, either in normal competition or at our invite. So Columbus North, Bloomington South are tough. New Pal's tough. But we've got some girls that could potentially hit the state qualifying scores and move on. So Ainsley Bodwell has the potential to move on in the floor if she can hit that routine. She unfortunately had a stumble on Saturday. Still scored really high, even with the stumble. And then Kiera McKinney, she placed in 3 of the events on Saturday. She's battling a little ankle sprain right now. So we're hoping that she can kind of rest it, ice it, and be ready to go Friday. So they're fun to watch. Gymnastics is really fun. Difficult sport. Could never do it myself.
No, not at all. Not at all.
Never.
You never tried that?
Nope. One time, and then I twisted my ankle, and that was it. And that was on the floor. That was just spinning on the floor. So.
They get injured easily in gymnastics, don't they?
They do, but if you jumped as much and landed as much on
that's right.
your feet and spun upside down, and I would be disoriented. It would be awful.
Right, yeah. You get the twisties, what they call it. That's what Simone Biles got in the
twisties.
20. Yeah, she had the twisties in the Tokyo Olympics and had to bow out, but she's still the greatest of all time.
Yeah, gymnastics just kind of stirs your insides up, don't it?
It does. And then they pound. A lot of what they do, if you hear them on the beam, they jump and they pound. And when they're on the floor, they pound. And the vault, they're jumping off a springboard. So there's just a lot of
power
pressure
on
your ankles and your knees. And you're right,
joints.
with little bodies. It's,
that's why they're retired at 24.
I don't blame them.
As we talked about last week, spring is right around the corner, and we might review again for the folks that miss it, that softball and baseball is about to begin, along with the other spring sports. On March the 21st, we'll meet with Franklin Central. That's when the girls start the softball, right?
That's their first scrimmage, yes. Okay. So they scrimmage Franklin Central at home this year. They were there last year. And they're a tough team. Franklin Central is always a good team, so it's a great scrimmage for us, a good learning experience to see kind of where we gauge at that point.
Who's coaching softball?
Steve Rubel is still the head coach, and Ashley, his daughter, is the assistant coach.
Year number?
Ooh, that's a great question. He's been here since I've been here. I'm going to say 4 or 5, but I'm not sure.
He's had some excellent teams.
He has. He works really hard, and he builds the youth programs up and has some travel teams and works hard and challenges the girls to work just as hard.
Right.
Yeah.
And then the baseball will be getting underway on March the 25th. Heritage Christian, where's that at?
That's in Indianapolis. Okay. So that's on like the northeast side of Indy, so right off of 465.
The Lawrence area up in there?
Yes, up in Lawrence area, yep. Yeah. And so that's a scrimmage as well. So that's the first, look at what the team's going to look like, what he's kind of anticipating, and then the first home game is April the 1st.
And as a coach, is he in his 2nd or 3rd year?
This is Jason's 2nd year, but it's like his 27th with the program. So he was a varsity assistant with Michael Thompson and a lot of the coaches, Gables, while they were here. So Jason's a Connorsville baseball person through and through, and I think he's excited now that the new field's almost ready to go, and hopefully it's ready April 1 on our first home game, and so he's excited for the season. So
weather can always be a problem in the spring, can it?
Oh, it's a problem all the time.
Year-round problem.
It's a year-round problem, but unfortunately, yes, it can be a problem in the spring.
It seems like rain bothers a lot of the spring sports events.
It does, and it's tough because you work really hard and you put a lot of money into the facilities to then put more money into them to get them dry, which really sometimes that does damage to them more than anything. So it's tough. I mean, it's tough getting games in. And, when you're looking at baseball and softball season, you could have 3 to 4 games a week, if not 5 to 6 a week, depending on rainouts. So that wear and tear on the fields is huge, especially with 4 teams, 2 middle school and 2 high school teams.
You guys are natural grass, right?
Correct. Correct.
Yeah.
That doesn't help.
No.
It's better on your body, I think, than turf. I think so, but as far as like wear and tear, it's a lot.
Yeah, it sure is.
Now, this spring we have the boys golf and girls
tennis.
And does that switch then in the fall?
Yes. So we have girls tennis, boys golf in the spring, and then boys tennis and girls golf in the fall.
Keep that straight.
Absolutely. And so should have some pretty good numbers for both of those.
Golf will begin on April the 5th, and that'll be the Edinburgh Invitational. The girls' varsity tennis will begin in a away mat, and that'll be at Newcastle on April the 8th. And co-ed track will start South Dearborn on April the 14th. And we'll be hosting a tournament this year. We usually don't.
So we have one home track meet, dual meet this year against Hagerstown in May. And then we host only boys track sectionals. We didn't get the girls. So the girls are down at East Central, the boys are at Connorsville. But our track team is actually competing indoor as well. So they compete this Saturday at Anderson University through Hamilton Southeastern, and it's called the Blue-White Relays. And so we got a lot of kids that are running in that. And then they have another one on March the 15th, I think, at UND. And that's another indoor meet, and then the indoor state. So you have to compete and place in the next two relays to be able to be invited to Hoosier State.
So there's, with the indoor, there's, obviously there's different sports than the...
Different distances, yes.
Yeah.
So I think instead of doing the 100, they do the 60.
Yeah.
So I think what was last year, Anaya placed, second in the 60-meter run at indoor state.
Right.
But yeah, they don't run the same because indoor facilities aren't as big as that.
Yeah.
But usually at college facilities is where they go for those because they have they have a bigger facility. But I think East Central has a big enough field house to host an indoor.
Yeah, they probably do. They probably have. You can probably do a 440.
Yeah, they're pretty big.
Maybe, yeah.
They got a big
or
one.
400 at least.
Then in August, football starts like the third Friday.
Brayton's already on the fall. He skipped summertime. Like, we're not going to have a summer, Andrea. We're going to go
Any
straight
new
to fall.
faces in scheduling?
So we do have quite a few new. So football, we're playing Madison Consolidated. So we'll travel down to Madison.
Well, that's nice.
I can't remember what week that is, but that's a long drive.
Yeah, that's why I said it's last.
3 week? No, not week 3. I don't remember, Fran. I don't remember off the top of my head what week. And then we picked up Crispus Attucks on week 6. So that'll be our homecoming game. So that'll replace North Decatur. We're not playing them again. So we should have a full schedule. Football's ready to go. Most of the fall sports are scheduled out for next season as best as we can. Like JV soccer is hard because you don't ever know if schools are going to have a JV team or not. So we'll kind of wait a little bit closer to the season for that.
Do most schools have JV football?
Most, yes.
Most, yeah. So that's not a problem.
Unless they're small. I mean, we struggled this year with fielding a JV team on a couple of games just because of injuries on our varsity.
Right, yeah, that's true.
Moving JV kids up. So, because you're only allowed so many quarters a week.
Yeah.
So that hurts you.
And there's only so much you can do with the schedule because of the sectional game or the conference games.
Yep. So we have to play. So our conference is separated in big school, small school instead of.
And that's only in football, right? Or is it in the other
Only in football because otherwise you would play, which we did at one point play all of our conference schools.
Yeah.
But yes, only in football we separate big school, small school. So it's us, East Central, not Greensburg, Batesville.
Yeah, we played Greensburg.
And we played them, yes, but they're not in our
they're not in our
section.
Oh,
so
wow.
and then the smaller schools. So we only have to play the ones in the top part. We did drop South Dearborn. And so that's who we dropped South Dearborn from the schedule when we picked up Madison. Because we didn't have to play South Dearborn because they were in the bottom half of the conference. But that's it. We have to play East Central. We have to.
Is it just because the enrollment numbers for football is so much different than like basketball? Or is it just not enough weeks?
Just not enough weeks.
Okay.
Yeah, you only play because if you're only playing on Fridays and you're only allowed so many quarters a week, and with it being a physical sport and the recovery time, you only play 9 regular season games, and then you have, of course, your tournament starting. So if you only play 1 game a week, it's very difficult.
Yeah.
So, yep.
So we might go look at basketball. Some new faces in basketball.
Haven't really quite finished basketball for next year. The girls, we are adding Jay County. I think we're going to add Jay County for the boys as well. I think Coach Williams would like to go to a different holiday tournament instead of going to Richmond. She's looking at the one at Northeastern. They bring in like 12 teams. So if we do that, she might pull out of playing Northeastern and try to pick up Yorktown or Delta. So we're trying to pick up a couple more sectional opponents that way. But as far as the schedule, we do host the shootout So the Decatur Central, us, who else was in that? It's changed every year.
For the
Southport,
girls?
yeah. So
Yeah,
Southport,
Southport.
Decatur Central, and us are the three that have been there. And then I think Monrovia was the school that we added the last 2 years.
Yeah,
So we
right,
host that this
yeah.
year at the beginning of the season. The boys, I'm not sure where they want to go. If he wants to go back to Harrison or find a different tournament. There's always tournaments that pop up.
It's kind of far away this year.
It was tough, yeah. But I think Coach had some former coaches that he wanted to go up and play against.
He's going to be inducted into the Hall of Fame, isn't he?
That's
Or
coming up here in a couple weeks.
Yep,
Yep,
here
absolutely.
this month, yeah.
Yep.
It's coming up shortly.
I think it's in the 20th.
Yeah, it's like, I think the
23rd,
last
something
week,
in
last
March.
part of this
Yep.
month, yeah.
I think it's right before basketball state, the boys state
Probably,
tournament.
yeah, it would make sense.
He's in the 250 and 300 win.
No,
He's over
600.
300. Yeah, he's
over
way
600.
over 300 wins. So,
Yeah, he's over 600.
I mean, he's been there for a long
Yeah,
time.
this is 42nd year. Or no, 41st year, I think, yeah.
41st.
Yeah,
It's either 41 or 42.
Yeah. Anyway,
It's a lot
second
of
year at
basketball
CHS,
games.
Yeah.
It's a lot of basketball games. That's a lot of Friday and Saturday nights
it
and
is.
throwing in some
Yeah,
weekdays.
Yeah,
And,
yeah. A lot of traveling up and down the roads here in Indiana.
and his wife is with him at every single game.
How
So
about
Yep.
that?
giving him his bag of peanut M&Ms. So
Oh yeah, you gotta have the bag.
Yeah, we
you
gotta
you
have
to have
that.
peanut M&Ms.
sometimes you need the jumbo bag though, right?
You gotta have.
And he's one of the few coaches that always wears a shirt and tie to a ball game.
He does. He's
Yeah.
still kind of old school like
Yes.
that.
Yeah,
So I don't think it
Carrie
fits
did
him
too,
though.
yeah.
I don't think it fits him. I think he's lost so much weight. I think he needs to get a different suit. But maybe he's had it for 41 years and
Yeah, I got this
Needs to
little
wear it.
suit jacket on.
little
It
suit
fits me.
jacket. Yeah.
Yeah.
But, well, sports is interesting. I know you find it very interesting.
Yep. There's a
in
lot to
your
it.
job.
There's a lot to it, and it's always changing every day.
The IHSAA coming up with any surprises?
Yep.
You know?
Sure are.
There's always surprises, aren't there?
Sure are, Fran. They actually just passed a new, I don't even know which one I call it, bill, policy, law, that we are allowing, I hate to even think about this, but we are allowing non-moving athletic one-time transfers. So in the past, you couldn't transfer for athletic reasons, but now you can,
Isn't that
one
something?
time. And it's going to be a nightmare. So that means if I don't want to play basketball, and I want to go transfer to Franklin County to play basketball, I have a one-time transfer where I can do that. No questions asked. And I could come back to my home school if I wanted to maybe, let's say, play baseball in that same season, but I could do it one time.
At one time, they went to court to fight these things, didn't
Yep.
they?
Well, and now the
Which school did they attend?
Well, now the state legislators are saying that if you don't pass something, we're going to come in and pass something just because it's that whole college portal thing, right?
Yeah,
It's basically like the high school portal.
But that's ridiculous. That's
Sure.
I mean, college is college,
It's tough.
and you know,
It's gonna be tough.
What, are we gonna not pay the kids because colleges?
It's getting there. Some states do.
High school kids?
Some states do.
I can
Like
understand
NIL
if
deals.
you see. I can understand if the kids are in Wheaties boxes, but we're not putting high school kids on
No.
Wheaties boxes.
I know. Well, and you got private schools too. The indie schools have been doing stuff like this for a while.
Some changes are good and some changes aren't. Why fix it if it's not broken?
I know. Well, and I don't understand why what the whole point is
You
about
said the
it.
legislature has rules?
The state legislator came in and basically told the
Really?
I guess the IHSA and the state legislator fought over the years. And I guess the state legislator basically told them if they
They'll
didn't
make a
come up
rule.
with their own way,
Oh,
that they were going to step in and they were going to
Wow.
make it even. It would probably could have been even worse. And
I think so,
I don't
yes.
know that they. It's kind of like in schools. They don't know how schools function because they're not in them every day. And I challenge people. Spend 1 week in our school. Just come
Yeah.
for 1 week, and I guarantee you, your mind will change. Like your way of what you think teachers do and admin don't, whatever. Like it will change it probably change in 1 day, let alone 1 week.
It's just shocking because where the kid go to school for part time for Franklin County for basketball, and then when they would play baseball.
So really, what would happen was, let's say the kid enrolled at Connorsville and they play soccer, and they want to play soccer for us. But let's say that they really want to go to Franklin County and play boys basketball. That student is allowed one time to transfer, no questions asked, to Franklin County and can play on that basketball team. However, if that kid decides after basketball season that's not what they want to do, they are allowed to come back to their home school, which would be us. So they could come back and play baseball with us. In the past, you had to sit out and you could play JV and JV only. Now they're allowing you to play varsity. If you're a senior, there's other rules. Like you have to sit out. Like you can't start a season. Like once the season's already started with practice, you have to sit out 30 days. Like you can't play, or you can practice, but you can't play for 30 days. But then after the end of the 30 days, you can play.
Well, how do you going to keep track of all this?
I don't know. And I that's a whole nother question. I know that IHSA already has over 1,000 transfers a year. We do about 5 to 6, either kids coming in or kids leaving.
Sure.
But this just gets ugly. I just feel like it just gets ugly and convoluted. And, you know, I think people are going to think, well, the grass is better over there. But, I mean,
education's getting polluted, I think. The education of the kids is,
it's just scary. And I don't know who's going to regulate it. I don't know what it's going to look like. Right now, it's paperwork that we have to sign, the parents have to sign, the kids have to sign. Same thing with, like, foreign exchange students that come over. There's paperwork we have to do with them to see whether or not they're allowed to participate at the varsity level or not. It's just a lot, and I don't know what it looks like, and I think it's scary. I think a lot of the ADs are very upset with having to do this, and you can't recruit. So that's the other part is, you know, anybody who's in your program, K-12, they're a coach, they're a coach. So if Ron decides to volunteer to work on the track team, he's a coach. So he can't go to Franklin County and open his mouth and be like, wow, you'd be a really good basketball player at Connersville. That's considered recruiting.
They do it all the time in Indy.
They do it all the time in Indy, and that's kind of the reason why they're, I don't know. It's just hard. It's really hard.
Yeah.
I'm going to make you in charge of that, Ron.
Yeah, make me.
It pays $0, Ron.
What I get paid here.
Looks like a lot of things to keep ADs up at night.
Yeah, it's a lot. I'm not really excited. It's supposed to start June 1. So, and that's usually first week of summer, into school year, first week of summer. The only thing that's good about it is if you're an 8th grader moving to be a freshman, you don't have to do paperwork because you haven't officially started. It has to be when you've officially started your freshman year, which would be the first day of school. So
I don't like it.
Keeping track is going to be hard. There's going to be a lot of slaps on the wrist. The IHSA is going to be busy. They're going to get tons of phone calls. I hope they have somebody in charge of that because it's going to be something to track.
Baseball coaches have their hands full now with the counts for the pitchers, and now they add all this other thing.
Yep, and the good thing is they have technology that does help them with that. You know, using Game Changer to kind of keep track. But you know, basketball has to keep track of quarters. Football has to keep track of quarters. Volleyball has to keep track of different sets. So there's a lot of things that are on the plate. And, I mean, you want everything to go well and you want every kid to succeed and do the best, but how do you take that? We're not good enough for you to play basketball here. You're going to go somewhere else, but we are good enough for you to play baseball. Like, you know what I mean? I feel like that's going to get to be the point where...
Different skill set. I mean, I can see where, you know, different skill set, but it's just, I think it just pollutes the education of the kids.
Well, it's got to be hard on them. Absolutely. How could you change mid-season?
Well, mid-semester, I mean, it's not, because frankly, even the mess of it is just...
When you talk about enrollment and open enrollment in schools, I mean, the school has to accept them. So if all these schools are willing to just accept a kid because they want to come here to play basketball, right? I mean... You have to be willing to accept them. So I don't know. I mean, you can't hide it under a rock. It's going to happen, and people are going to find out about it, and you're going to have to deal with it.
Well, again, Indianapolis schools, they've been doing it for.
They get away with it.
Yeah. Will that affect your finances too, in a way?
Oh, I'm sure.
Sure,
they'll find
the
schools' finances because the schools have school counts as well.
So much per student.
Yep, twice a year you get 2 counts. They'll
find a way to.
Sounds like a nightmare in the making.
Nightmare on Elm Street, right?
Yeah, nightmare.
Thanks, Andrea, as always, for taking time out to bring us up to date on the sports. We wouldn't know what's going on unless you informed us.
Oh, I don't know.
Thanks again.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
And thanks, everybody, for watching tonight, this edition of the Spartan Sports Report. Have a nice evening.